Good morning, and welcome to the Unity Spiritual Center, Georgetown. We are a positive path for spiritual living. We are love-based, and we come together on Sunday mornings to spend time together by creating an energy that we already have, but bringing it together. And during this time, we meditate, we laugh, we pray, we learn, we fellowship, we do all these things. And we are heart-centered and love-based. We offer spiritual teachings that provide practical tools for a meaningful and abundant living. We draw from and honor all paths to spirit. We have no dogma or creed, but we do have 5 principles that guide our philosophy. Our fundamental belief, which sets us apart from pretty much everybody else, is a belief in oneness, that everything is one. And our fundamental practice is being in the present moment, in the here and now. And that's what we try to do on Sunday morning. So, once again, if there's, I do want to say something today. Kaylin is here, right? I thought I saw her working. Oh, hi, Kaylin. She's way back there. Is this your last Sunday here? Oh, she's moving back to Dallas. And so, you know what? Let's give her a unity blessing. What do you say? Yes. All right. We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ you are. Thank you, Kaylin. We've had just a wonderful time with your presence here. We really appreciate it. And we wish you all the best in Dallas. And whenever you're, passing by, stop in or whatever. But anyway, once again, I'd just like to welcome everybody this morning to Unity Spiritual Center, Georgetown. Our board president, Liz, has a couple of things to say, I believe.
Okay, as usual, I get to do the announcement. So good morning. If you are here for the first time, we would like to extend a special welcome. And if you're comfortable, please raise your hand or stand. Let us know who you are and where you're from. And we have a welcome packet to give you. Anybody here for the first time? Yes. Would you please stand up and tell us your name and where you're from?
My name is Allison Henley. I live here in Sun City.
Allison from Sun City. Okay, great.
Moved here
From Dallas.
in July of 2021.
All right.
And I am familiar with Unity. I used to go to Unity in Dallas.
Okay.
I'm excited that you guys are meeting.
Here, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
And I think I've met the minister at Mary Pat's Wise Women Group.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you know Reverend Tommy. Okay, great. Well,
Thank you.
thank you, Allison. My granddaughter has a welcome packet for you. If you'd fill out the form and put it in either put it in the offering bag when it comes around, or if you don't get it done by then, you can put it in the little black box out on the welcome table. And we had another person, a gentleman. Yes, and your name? Hi, Jerry. I'm glad you got here on time today. Yeah, he got here right at the end of the service last time. So, uh-huh. Yeah, okay.
My interest is A Course in Miracles, and I wanted to just put that out there to the group that I'm looking for getting together some discussion.
You've got a lovely lady in the very back there waving at you, saying she is too. So you guys can hook up. Yeah, so if anybody's interested in A Course in Miracles, Jerry would like to have a discussion group. Great.
Yeah, there's several, so yeah.
Okay. Well, I would thank you, Jerry, and my granddaughter has a welcome packet for you. I think you've already, you got a welcome packet, right? You got one last time, and you filled out the form? Yeah, okay. Anybody else new for the first time? What I'd like to do now is I was going to save it for the end, but since y'all are interested in this course, in the Course in Miracles, we're going to start having a small bookstore in the bar area in the back. And I'd like to invite you to come and have a little bit of fellowship after the service in that area. So come back and talk and do that and get acquainted. And maybe around Christmas Eve, maybe we'll start having some light refreshments if anybody would like to participate in that. So, so please come to the back. We don't have any books right now, but there's flyers and pamphlets, and Reverend Tommy's going to order some books. So we're going to start doing that. So if you'd like to donate some books, bring them and put them back there, and we can have a library too. That would be great. If you want to do that, that would be very much appreciated.
By the way, P has a wonderful book that she put together, so ask her about that.
Okay, great. Okay, so along those lines and books, Let's Get Metaphysical is a study group that meets on Wednesday mornings with Reverend Tommy at Legacy Park. Topics and locations will be sent out in an email to those who are signed up, because, of course, the location may be changing depending upon the weather. Therese Finn will be holding a prayer chaplain orientation meeting today, immediately following the service, in the Mesquite Room, which is where the kids meet. It's down the hall over here. Yes. Yes, sure.
I just want to tell everyone, please don't be afraid to attend because you're afraid that we're going to make you take vows or something. It's an information meeting for anyone who's ever had any kind of stirring about maybe a prayer chaplain, but even if you just want to find out more about what your prayer chaplain team does and who we are. So please, you're all welcome to come. We'd love to see you.
Thank you. Great. And then on December 13th and 14th, Ann Kennedy is hosting a 2-session workshop on Mary Magdalene, Mystery and Memory. This is 2 parts, takes place on 2 days, December 13th and 14th from 2 to 4 p.m. at her home. There is a wait list, but if you'd like to come, you can get on the wait list. I don't have all the lists, but if you take one of the flyers and put your name on the back of it and then put that in the black box. This is something I did this week. I splurged and I got us a little black box, okay? And you can put your volunteer information in there. You can fill out the welcome form and put it in there. Any suggestions, there'll be additional forms and stuff for doing all of that type of stuff out there. But just put it in the little black box. It'll go home with me, and Maria and I will make sure you get on the right sign-up lists and all of that. Otherwise, for all the sign-ups, you can go to the website, or there should be a link in the newsletter. The website is unitygeorgetown.org. Let's see. Okay. The Austin Trail of Lights is the 16th. You can purchase your Zip Pass or general admission tickets online at Austin. Spelled that wrong. AustinTrailOfLights.org. The group is going to use a Zip Pass to congregate and go together. So if you get a general admission, you're on your own. But carpooling and assistance will be available if you get the Zip Pass. Our next potluck will be on Saturday, December 17th, hosted by Therese Finn, because she doesn't have enough to do. And the theme is anything but turkey and green bean casserole. And again, we're going to be tired of it by the end of the season, so anything but that. And again, I don't have a sign-up sheet out there. You can sign up online or fill out your name and phone number and email address on the back of the little flyer that's out there and put that in the box. Our Christmas Eve service will be held on Saturday, December 24th at 10:30 in lieu of a Sunday service on Christmas Day. We still need some volunteer readers, so if you're going to be here Christmas Eve and want to help us out with the service, go ahead and put Christmas Eve on the volunteer form. So again, to sign up for any of these events or to let us know when you're unavailable, please get the appropriate sign-up form, put it in the black box, and we'll make sure you get on the right list. And also, one of our members, Magdi, right there, has several rounds of golf available here at the beautiful Sun City Golf Course if you'd like to play a round of golf. They need to be used before the end of December. So if that's something you would like to do, please let him know or let Reverend Tommy know, and we'll get you hooked up, okay? Thank you very much.
Well, as you know, we'd like to begin the service with something that I call, well, I don't call it that, that's what it's called. Laughter is the best medicine, because that kind of puts you in, when you're laughing and you're joyful, there's no room in your soul for anything else, so we start that way. This one was submitted to me by Dolores. I had it for some time now. And it's I think it's a little silly in a good way, And somehow this week, I came across some little flyer or something that said that mix your seriousness about life with a little bit of silliness, just to kind of lighten it up. And this one is kind of like that. So here's how it goes. A frog goes into a bank and approaches the teller. It's already funny, right? He can tell from her nameplate that her name is Patricia Wack. Miss Wack, he says, I'd like to get a loan for $30,000 to take a holiday. Miss Wack looks at the frog and disbelieves and says, who are you? The frog says, my name is Kermit Jagger. My dad is Mick Jagger. And it's okay because he knows the bank manager. Patricia explains that he will have to secure the loan with some kind of a collateral. The frog says, sure, I've got this. And he pulls out a little porcelain elephant, a tiny little thing, really, really pink and really perfectly formed. Very confused, Patty explains that she'll have to consult with the bank manager and disappears into the back office. She finds the manager and says, there's a frog named Kermit Jagger out there who claims his father is Mick Jagger, says he knows you and wants to borrow $30,000. He said we can use this as collateral. She holds it up and says, I don't even know what it is. And the bank manager looks at her and says, you don't? It's a knick-knack, paddywhack. Get the frog a loan. His old man's a Rolling Stone. Let's rise and begin our service.
I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing life today. I'm choosing life today. I am walking the road to heaven right now, singing I'm choosing life today. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today.
And now Terry Chambers and her daughter Erin will light our Advent candle.
The daily word for today is peace. Stepping away from the busyness of holiday preparations and the important work that must be completed before year's end, I continue my Advent journey by practicing peace in the present moment wherever I am. That's not where I am. Oh! Okay. The Advent season, my prayer is that we dedicate ourselves to being the peace we wish to see both our inner and outer worlds. May we remember who we declare ourselves to be as unique expressions of God in our communities and be comforted by the knowledge. May this knowledge create a clearing for the rebirth of Christ within us. May peace as a practice leave us restored. May it afford us the strength and poise we need to make the most wonderful time of year truly magical for all. Let us commit to making peace our priority. Those of steadfast mind, may you keep in peace because they trust in you. Isaiah 16:3. On this day of Advent, may my heart and mind be established in the peace of God.
Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. For I don't want to run this race in vain.
Good morning. Would you please join me in saying our prayer of intention together? Living Spirit opens our minds, opens our hearts, touches us all deeply with love, and sends us out as agents. Agents of love, agents of peace, agents of justice. Amen. And now we will send our children out as agents of love with our Sunday school teachers, and we will see you soon. Bye. I think I missed what she said. All right, and now if you join me in affirming our statement of being. There is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent. And now our vision and mission statements. Centered in God, we co-create a world of love, peace, and abundance. We are a thriving spiritual community, inspiring and empowering individual and global transformation, as exemplified by the life and teachings of Jesus.
going to stop stapling them. There you go.
The daily word for today is peace. Stepping away from the busyness of holiday preparations and the important work that must be completed before year's end, I continue my Advent journey by practicing peace in the present moment wherever I am. I am gracious with store clerks and servers in restaurants. I am positive, peaceful thoughts to conversations. When I'm traveling, I bless other drivers with whom I share the road and my fellow passengers on public transportation. Peace flows from that place in consciousness where God's presence fills my awareness. I need not find a quiet corner. When I am willing, anywhere can be a peaceful sanctuary. The peace of God refreshes me and goes with me as I return to the activities of the day. Wherever I go, whatever I am doing, I am peaceful. I am a peaceful presence. May the Lord give strength to his people. May the Lord bless his people with peace. Psalm 29, verse 11. Today's confirmation is centered in God, I am a peaceful presence. Please repeat the affirmation twice with me. Centered in God, I am a peaceful presence. Centered in God, I am a peaceful presence.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain. I've got love like a mountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain in my soul.
It's now time in our service for community prayers. And as we start, I've just been so awed by the colors of this season. It feels like it's been a while since we've really had beautiful fall colors. There's a tree that I kind of go out of my way. It's on my way home, but not the most direct way. And I've been driving by it because it's got the red and the orange all in the same tree. And it's just magnificent. And I talk about this painting on the back wall here all the time, but that's the color that we have now, and I just feel so grateful for that. And so I'd just like to bring that to our consciousness as we join together in prayer. And so I invite you to sit comfortably in your seats here, or if you're at home watching this at another time, to just be comfortable and relax and take a deep breath and feel that stillness within us. Knowing that stillness, the love that created us, the love that we are in the world. And as we come together in prayer, we affirm the highest and the best outcome for each being, each place, each situation in our hearts, affirming that each one of us is anchored in God's healing and love, and that never, never changes. So today we rest in the season of Advent and the practice of peace in the world. As we move forward in this season, I invite you to hold yourself in the present moment of this day, this hour, this time. Releasing any anticipation, be the hope and the peace of the season. Breathing in again, bring to mind the people in our lives, our family, our friends, colleagues from work, animal companions, and see each of them as whole and perfect beings, expressions of love in our lives. We are grateful for each one and recognize the fullness of God's creation surrounding us. We bring to mind people known and unknown to us who are experiencing challenges and hardships and joys, and affirm that each one is surrounded in love and strengthened by the power of prayer. We hold the people in our community who are struggling with their own situations or concerns for their loved ones. Whatever that concern is, whatever that thought is, we affirm through this prayer that each one is surrounded in God's healing in every situation. We focus our hearts on our country and on the world and continue to affirm peace and clarity and dialogue and resolution to the conflicts that exist. We know that through prayer, the world changes and we engage our whole selves in seeing the truth of the good around us. With hearts filled with love, I invite you now to bring to your own mind and heart those people who are dear to you, those places, those situations, and hold each one in a moment where you may speak that out quietly or just hold in your heart in just a moment of silence. And now let's close our time of prayer today by singing an ancient prayer, a prayer handed down through the ages that affirms God's realm manifest in earth as it is in heaven, our Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever.
So the spiritual practice that I want to talk to you about today is rest. I read somewhere that the number one enemy of spiritual formation today is exhaustion, and I don't know where I read that, but I believe it. I would also like to add that our connection to our electronic devices, and definitely right in there with you, is another big distractor. We're so attached, we're so available, we're so present to the outside all the time, and that can be exhausting. We have demands from work, from family, from home, even social obligations can sometimes be a demand, and all of that seems to be just really magnified in this time of the Christmas season as we approach Christmas. We're in a society that doesn't necessarily encourage rest, and a society that does not necessarily look kindly on those of us when we do take times for ourselves. When we just decide to check out, have time just for us, that's not always well received, it's not always rewarded. And so all those things together can definitely make us feel like rest is not really a good thing. And in all honesty, I have to admit, I feel a little odd talking to you about rest because I'm not necessarily one who's a very good practitioner of rest. But I do feel that from one of my Advent goals has been to take rest more seriously, to really find that time and make that happen in my life. And it's small incremental steps, but I am seeing some progress in my own life just in 1 week of Advent. I'm feeling pretty good about that. If we look in the Bible, we know that rest is proclaimed as being something that we should do. We are instructed to remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy and to not work. I am old enough, and many of you in this room are old enough to remember when Sundays the stores weren't open, and evenings the stores weren't open, and nobody was talking about that as being a terrible thing, but if we were to suddenly shut down on Sundays and Costco and H-E-B weren't open and we couldn't go there at night when we were coming home from work, there would be really major changes, and it would be a very hard thing for us to do. But I grew up that way, and many of you did too. And, I think that we have just become so accustomed to always everything being there available to us. It used to be that we worked when it was daylight, and we slept when it was dark. But now that we can have light and power, electricity, and all the things that we need to do all the work and all the things that we want to do in life 24 hours a day, we do that 24 hours a day. I've always been amazed when I've driven at night or early in the morning when it's still dark and you're driving down the highway and they have those huge spotlights out there for the construction workers to do road construction in the middle of the night. And it has always just astonished me. And it's when traffic is lighter, so it's less of an influence on traffic during the day, and it's probably to meet deadlines as well. But I look at those workers in the middle of the night in the bright light doing that kind of heavy construction work, and it's just kind of always blown my mind. I have to admit that I've always been a night owl, and I like being awake. When my kids were little and at home, I really enjoyed that time when I was awake by myself, and they weren't asking me for anything, and they weren't doing all the little things that our children do. And I've enjoyed that time. When I've been in school, I've pulled all-nighters studying. I've pulled some all-nighters for work deadlines. I've done things like that. But I've also made quilts at night, and I've baked cookies and bread at night, and I've done things that fed my soul at night, and I've really enjoyed that. So I don't necessarily mean that I don't want to take that away from myself, but I want to make sure that I balance it with times of rest. So I am working to honor rest in my life. I know that there's always going to be more to do than I can do, that there will be challenges that I feel like I absolutely have to meet, and there will be days when I know that there just aren't enough hours to get it all done. But I will practice rest as a way to honor myself and my own needs, and also just to honor the time that I can use when I'm resting to become closer to Spirit and to become closer to the quiet space within myself. So, and I know that going within and having that time of silence is also an opportunity for me to practice trust, that I'm always taken care of, that I have what I need, and that I can honor myself and take care of myself in all ways and be closer to Spirit in the doing of that. So I want to offer you right now just a couple of minutes where I want you to rest. I want you to just take a breath and go within, to be still and quiet, and let yourself connect to whatever is there waiting for you, and to think about the possibility of opening yourself up to a daily practice of rest. Not necessarily a Sabbath day to start off with, but a Sabbath moment when you can go within and feel that quiet space, connecting yourself with Spirit, knowing that you are loved and protected in that time. At the end of our time of meditation, Dan will bring us out with beautiful music. So I invite you now to just take a breath, go into just a moment of Sabbath, and feel that connection with your source and with rest.
You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Penny. And what a thought. The world is one. Wouldn't that be something? And that's what we're striving for. And I believe that here, that we in unity are really contributing to that unity. And I just saw this week that, because I was going to say that at the beginning I said that we draw from all paths to spirit, and we do. But when it began, it was really basically Christian, but it still is, from the general Christian model, because Myrtle Fillmore, who was the founder, was very spiritual. She was Methodist. And the events of this week of the Methodist, a lot of Methodist churches leaving the First United Methodist Church, I think Myrtle would have been part of that group, because they were trying to bring in a lot more people, a lot more inclusivity with the LGBTQ community and all these other things that they just do not agree with anymore, with that old view, because it is an old view of who we are and what we are and who we want to try to be, just brothers and sisters. Anyway, I wanted to say that because last week, one more thing, because when I first came to, I was a Catholic. When I first came to Unity, one of the things that I really realized that I was very glad to see that I was able to reconcile my Christian upbringing with my insistence on universality, on this all-inclusiveness. And I keep saying it over and over, it's got to be about everybody. It has to be. Otherwise, whatever you're telling me, something is lacking. So this time of the year we take from the Christian model, but we see it differently. And I'm going to talk about that today, because last week we started began something very special in the Christian calendar, the Advent season. And I wanted to review a little bit of last week because, as I said, there are a lot of new people here, both who are new to Unity and who are new to the spiritual center. And I want to make sure that the fundamentals are laid out pretty well so we kind of are all on the same page. So Advent represents the 4 weeks before Christmas. We all know that. And each week, we focus on one spiritual attribute that facilitates the upcoming transformation, because that's what's happening. There is an upcoming transformation taking place. And week 1 is faith and love. Week 2 is peace. That's this week. Next week will be love, and the 4th week will be joy. Now, most of us are very familiar with that, but maybe not so much with Unity's interpretation, as I said, which is very different, and I will be focusing on that during this time. The celebration of Advent began in the 5th century. Thus, it is not biblical. It's not in the Bible. It's something that men made up. And the word Advent comes from the Latin adventus, and that means a coming expectation of some sort. And someone perhaps not familiar with the Advent might say, well, like the coming of what? What are we talking about here? Well, for a tradition, it is about the coming of the Messiah, the Savior of the world, coming into this world. Now, the implication is clear, because here before Jesus' birth, then there was not God in the world. It had been, if you know the story, then at the fall, from the fall, then the evil forces took over the universe, and they have been in charge since. And now with this beginning, it was going to start the transformation of all that. That's the traditional theology. And the ultimate, of course, is to establish the kingdom of heaven on earth and all of that. So that second part begins in Easter. So the two pillars of Christianity really are Christmas and Easter. And we'll get to that during Easter. The difference between Unity's view of this and all Christian events is that it lies in that fundamental belief, as I said, in that oneness. Everything comes back to that oneness. And traditional view is of separation. We are separate from God. Because God is everywhere present, Unity does not subscribe to the traditional view that the world has ever been devoid of God's presence. Such a thing is not possible. God is everywhere. That being so, then the Advent season, we say, well, then the significance cannot be about God coming into the world. What could the spiritual significance therefore be? And as we say in Unity, we have a metaphysical, what we call a metaphysical interpretation of the Bible, just to be clear. And what that means is that every event, every person, everything in the entire books, collection of books, as you know, they're a collection of books, represents our eternal spiritual journey, all the way from the Adam consciousness, all the way to the the birth of the Christ consciousness. And that's the transformation that's taking place. The difference is that we see that symbolically. It's a spiritual book. It's not a historical. That much we know. Historically, it's not correct. And it's okay. It doesn't matter. It's a spiritual book. So the underlying true message is about our spiritual journey. And what that does to Advent means that the significance is that it is that time in our unfolding awareness where we're starting to wake up. We're starting to see, as we say in Unity, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And that's a process. And the first step is, hope and faith that we talked about last week. We have this hope. We just have this thing inside that says, there's got to be something going on. There just has to be. And then we start finding out about it, and then a certain peace starts to overcome us. And then a joy, and then love. And so all these things come together. So last week was faith and hope. And just real quickly, we were told that faith has 3 phases. The first is hope, and it's not about expectation. It is about potential. And we talk about that all the time, potential. And from hope, we move to blind faith, which is essentially faith which is spiritually immature and then thus subject to error. And then we continue to unfold spiritually until we get what we call understanding faith, where we understand principles, and there's a certain amount of knowledge involved there. And that brings us into week 2, peace. And the revealing word is our little metaphysical little dictionary. And we need to get some of those, Liz, by the way, on the bookstore. and in there, the definition of peace says, harmony and tranquility derived from the awareness of the Christ, that is divine, consciousness. So what comes to your mind when you think about peace? Probably a whole lot of things, especially during this time of the year. I mean, world peace is certainly a big one. It's had to be for all of us. Well, maybe not all of us, but many of us, and more of us. That's the good news. And in our introduction, we say, we envision a spiritually transformed, peaceful world. And in fact, that is the crux of the conversation when we're talking about Advent or Christmas or spirituality, period, is that awakening of us, of our spiritual nature to the presence of who we truly are as spiritual beings. And that intuitive unfolding brings about this peace and this joy and this love. It's like a river of energy that's flowing, pushing us towards higher and higher levels of consciousness. And it's no wonder that river of life metaphor appears in so much spiritual literature. And Advent describes the process by which we do this. And last week, as I said, it was faith. And I talked about my difficulty with faith growing up. Because, again, I told you my story. I was 7 years old. I'm taking communion, and I'm in class to take my first communion. And the nurse, the nuns, because back then it was nuns, they told me, well, God is all powerful and God knows everything, da, 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 da. And I'm a 7-year-old little kid, and I'm going, I'm cool with all this stuff. I have no problem with it all. And then she says, okay, so next week, we're going to go do confession. And I went like, confession? What for? And I said, I told her, come here, Miss Nun, please. I said, I have a question for you. What is it? But didn't you say that God knows everything? Well, sure, God knows everything. And is this a 7-year-old child? Said, but if God knows everything, why am I confessing to a priest who is, after all, just a man? This is a 7-year-old child. And she looks at me and says, because. Because? That's all you got? I said, oh, no. So now I understand that I was being fed something, which we just talked about, blind faith, that they believe in blind faith, that didn't fit my consciousness. So I couldn't accept this. It doesn't make any sense to me. So I finally came around to understanding faith. And that's based on our current consciousness. And I would say the same thing probably is because of you guys. And I shared a quote that I really like about faith that I found in that book from Joan Borysenko. And I'm going to share it again because it is so cool. She says, and she's a PhD psychologist, and she's got that book called 52 Strategies for a Peaceful Inner Peace or something like that. It's a wonderful little book, little tidbits of things that help you do stuff. And in the end, it says, keeping the faith. And she says, in the end, faith is less about a set of beliefs than the willingness to surrender to a mysterious force of love and guidance that helps you find your way. I said, well, there you go. I can definitely go along with that. And that kind of surrender brings you peace of mind. That knowing that really it's going to all work out. It just will, because of that guiding impetus that moves everything. And that doesn't mean that we stop searching and asking. It just kind of means that we start to trust the outcome a little bit more, perhaps. And I'm truly an example of this. But the fact that I'm here in Georgetown, to me, that was total guidance. I didn't expect it. It just came up. I saw the ad, and I said, let me put in for that. Why not? and then everything just fell into place. We were having trouble getting housing, because you know that housing around here is pretty nuts. and then that fell into place. And everything has just fallen into place. Now we've got this Let's Get Metaphysical group, and we are just having, oh my goodness, some fun with that. If you're a thinker, an asker, a question asker, oh, you will like Let's Get Metaphysical, because we see videos about all kinds of challenging things. AI. This week we talked about process theology, which nobody knows. Anybody know what process theology is? No. We talked about that a little bit. And so me coming to Georgetown was kind of like spiritsmatch.com, you know, kind of. So it was kind of a match.com. And Liz, I mean, me and Liz hit it off immediately.
At least it worked for something.
So I brought up inner peace. So let's talk about inner peace for a moment. And that's the peace that we all seek. And I want to remind you of something about inner peace. It is the same as all other gifts, spiritual gifts that we have. We don't need to seek it. We have it. It is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. That means that you have access to everything. That is an astounding idea, that you have access to everything. And why? Because you're a copy of the whole deal. You're a fractal. You know what fractals are? You're a fractal. That's what made in the image and likeness of God means, that we are all that. And that's a big part of what we take into this Advent season. So just open up, like guidance, open yourself up to that inner peace, and it'll appear just like that. But the thing is, it can disappear quite quickly too, because things happen. I think you talked, Penny, about the person in the car, or whoever said driving. I said, yeah, that's a real challenge. I'm driving to Dallas this afternoon to go see the football game. Yay, Cowboys! And I'm sure I might get one or two like, God bless you. You know, but
Give us a good old Southern, bless your heart.
yeah, you know, it's a challenge. But that's why it's a spiritual practice, because we have to practice these things. It should come naturally, but we're so steered in the direction of being a human. And we say it all the time. I'm only human, right? Say it all the time. I'm here to tell you that, no, you're not only human. You are a spiritual being, an infinite, eternal spiritual being, and you're having a human experience. Why? Because you chose to. You came here. And when I told you didn't read the contract, but it says there's going to be a lot of little bumps on the road along the way. And you said, it's okay, I still want to do it. I said, okay, well then get in there. So that's important, that it's not something that can be taken away from us. It's something that we give away, inner peace. So just keep that in mind. He made me mad, oh, no. Not really. There might have been a little trigger for something or other, but it wasn't them. You still have control, the power of choice. So in Unity, we say that everything works from the inside out, from the consciousness to the outside. And during this week, I woke up and I had this, what I thought was a wonderful thought. I shared it with a group on Wednesday, and I told my wife, and it was this, about manifesting, that it starts from the inside and goes to the outside. I came up with this. I said, our life is a song the soul is singing. Our life is the song our soul is singing. And I told my wife, I was all excited. She goes like, oh, I've heard that before. What? I haven't? I thought this came, I guess I'm not that clever. So I said, well, all right, that's fine. Anyway, and I also mentioned last week that there's so many biblical passages that represent Unity's point of view. But to me, again, another quote from the Bible, for those who have ears to hear and eyes to see, it says. And like I said last week, obviously we all do. What it's really, and this is an example of a spiritual interpretation of the Bible. It's not talking about ears and eyes. It's talking about your consciousness. Are you conscious enough to understand these things? That's what it really says. So the inner world creates the outer world. And once again, we say, well, how does that work with inner peace and dealing with circumstances and things that happen to us? And once again, Scripture provides us with a really excellent example, which I'd like to share. And remember one thing, from this metaphysical interpretation of the Bible view, every time Jesus speaks, that is representative of our divine essence speaking, all right? So the story comes from Luke 8:22-25, and it's called Jesus Calms the Storm. And one day Jesus said to his disciples, let us go over to the other side of the lake. So they got up into the boat and they set out, and he fell asleep, and a squall came down on the lake, so that the boat was being swamped and they were in great danger. The disciples woke him and said, Master, Master, we're going to drown. He got up, rebuked the wind, and calmed the sea. And he said to them, O ye of little faith. You know, he's trying to tell us, again, Unity sees Jesus as the great example, not the great exception. Because if he's the great exception, then we're dealing with a model of the universe that's separate, wherein everything is separate. But if he is the great example, then he said it, the works I do, you shall do. So now we're dealing with a model of the universe into where we are all one. And we all have the same capacity. All of us. That's why he said, oh, you have little faith. You don't understand. You can do this too. And Peter walked on the water, remember that? He actually did. I've never walked on water. I'm working on it, but I haven't gotten there yet. It's one of my goals to levitate. I told you before, because I do a lot of levitating in my dreams. I just rise up, and people look at, how do you do that? I said, just do it. I don't know how do you walk? You just walk. You just do it. I don't know how you do it. So I'm working on it. And so, and then it continues. It says, in fear and amazement, they called one another. They asked one another, who is this? He commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him. Now, this is an example of inner peace controlling an outer circumstance. That's the spiritual significance of that story. And an outer circumstance doesn't have to be a storm. It can be a divorce. It can be losing your job. It can be a health condition of some sort. It can be all these things. It's symbolic. The storm is symbolic of things that happen outside. And Jesus represents that inner peace that can overcome the circumstance. That's what the story's about. So, I want to take a little time now to turn our attention inwardly and contemplate the words and the ideas of today's message. As spiritual beings having a human experience, we continue to unfold within the manifest world. This time of Advent serves to remind us of our expanding consciousness. We move from hopeful expectation to faith and on to inner peace of our greater reality. We express gratitude for being part of this most wonderful spiritual community. This Advent season, my prayer is that we dedicate ourselves to being the peace we wish to see in both the inner and the outer world. As such, I am in peace with my home, with my family, with my friends, and everyone I come into contact with every day. Peace is a gift I accept as I open up myself to it. As I receive this Advent gift of peace, we hold it in our heart for our own healing and from the reservoir within that overflows. We share this peace with each other and with the entire world. Let there be peace, and let it begin with me. And so it is. Now comes the time in our service where we offer our tithes
Not yet.
and our gifts. Oh, I'm doing special music. Sorry, Dan. I asked him last week. Okay, so I bow to thee.
I spent a week learning this song. I'm going to sing it.
I'm going to get my money's worth today.
If you know the words, go ahead and sing along with me. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Take a look at the 5 and 10, glistening once again, with candy canes and silver lanes aglow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Toys in every store. But the prettiest sight to see is the holly that will be on your own front door. A pair of hop-along boots and a pistol that shoots is the wish of Barney and Ben. Dolls that will talk and will go for a walk is the hope of Janice and Jim. And Mom and Dad can hardly wait for school to start again. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. There's a tree in the Grand Hotel, one in the park as well, the sturdy kind that doesn't mind the snow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Soon the bells will start, and the thing that will make them ring is the carol that you sing right within your heart, right within your heart. Thank you.
Yeah. Getting into the Christmas mood. Now remember, it's not Christmas season yet until Christmas. This is Advent season, but we can.
That's why it's beginning to look.
That's right. That's why Liz, the genius that she is, chose this particular song. Wonderful, Liz. Thank you. I love it. Okay, there comes time where we offer our tithes and gifts to our spiritual community so that we can keep going forward and expanding and sharing the message that it's about love, nothing else, and that ultimately everybody will see it, the picture, when they are ready. So, together we say, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love and I trust God.
Everything I see, everything I do is blessed by your hand, God. I'll give it back to you. Everything I give, every thought that's true is magnified in kind, God. I'll give it back to you.
A little hum. Let us offer our dedication together. We bless and dedicate these tithes and offerings as an expression of divine love, and we release them to manifest that love in our community and in our world. Now it's time to bring out the children, and they will share with us all the fun stuff they did, right, Ari?
Today we went over all the pieces of the prayer for protection that we don't normally say or read. And we also were drawing. So, anyways. Okay. You ready? Do the first three. You guys ready? Okay. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. The mind of God guides us. The life of God flows through us. The laws of God direct us. The power of God abides in us.
The joy of God uplifts us. The strength of God renews us. The beauty of God inspires us.
It's beautiful. It's long, but it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
And there's the page they colored, we're working on understanding the Bible a little more. And this is your word. Your word is a lamp for my feet, a light on my path, from Psalm 119.
So if you have children or grandchildren, we certainly want you to bring them because, you know, to start that young and that all is good, ultimately, wouldn't that have been nice to say that I'm a sinner, you know, up to middle age, I'm still thinking I'm a sinner, you know, but by nature. I mean, you know, I'm not being critical, but I mean, you know what I mean. But so if you do have any, please bring them. I'm sure they would love to share with us. So let's bless our children today, okay? We love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ in you. So the final announcement. Penny is our prayer chaplain today. If you would like to need a prayer, Penny is here to help you today. So let's rise and end with our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, I am, and all is well. Have a blessed week.
you.